Let me just get a moment here to set up as usual. Takes a few seconds here to get this all set up in here. And I see YouTube here, and we're on Rumble as well. So thank you guys for being here. This is, of course, the Q&A segment of my channel, which we do every Thursday night, and there's a specific format. And those of you who do not want to watch the long thing, you don't have to. The main topic in the title is discussed for 30 minutes, after which we go into a Q&A segment, and you don't have to go through that if you think it's too long. And yes, some of you complain that this is a format where I don't have a script and I just talk based on your comments and based on what comes to my head. And some of you say you don't like that. Well, sorry, you don't have to watch. You can go. You're excused. So, but the rest of you will stay and typically will enjoy it because, in fact, because it's kind of free-for-all improvisation, kind of like when I play jazz music. It's actually interesting because certain things come out that perhaps wouldn't come out if this were a scripted environment. Now, the topic tonight is about the metadata, and this is really connected to my last video. My last video was about session, and then I get the usual comments from people suggesting that we need to go use some other platform or some other messaging app, and because of X, Y, and Z, and we'll go into that. And then it gets into the other questions as well about why should we not use, we should use Protonmail, Tutanota, WhatsApp, and all this. And we're going to get into a little bit of understanding that most people don't understand. And this actually is the subject of my video next week, which is understanding the difference between cybersecurity and privacy. So we're going to get a little bit into that, and hopefully you will pick up a few things here, and this is going to be very, very informative. The actual video for next week will get into a lot more detail here, but this is important to understand with some specific examples. So one of the opening statements that this is something I posted on Twitter, and I want you to listen to this closely, because this kind of explains it all in a way. It's a clear statement of what the difference is between cybersecurity and privacy. So cybersecurity is when you do end-to-end encryption and no one can read the contents of the message. Privacy is when you can't even tell where the message came from or who it's directed to, and the message doesn't even have to be encrypted. This is such an important point, and we're just going to focus on this because this is such a very big deal of understanding here, because people give me these arguments and they really lose the point of the argument when they don't even understand what privacy is all about. So if you're on Signal, for example, we already know that Signal requires you to give a phone number. And I know people say, okay, you can get around that. You can, get throw a phone number. You can do this, do that. And there's so many other excuses, which is kind of like missing the point here. The point here is the average person is actually required to come up with a phone number. And the average person will, in fact, give their normal phone number. And when you do that, what happens? First of all, if the person you're talking to is a family member, okay, nothing negative will happen, okay, because a person already knows your phone number. But let's say it's a stranger and you give a phone number, okay? You give a personal phone number. To me, it's like in ham radio, it's like giving your call sign, and then they can go check up your call sign on the database and see where you live, and when you got your license and your phone number and all of that. The same kind of thing happens with a phone number. In fact, a phone number has even more data. To get a phone number, you can go to the carrier, especially if you're from the government, and you can say, who has this phone number? And you have the person's name, address, social security number, other phone numbers, IMEI, MZ, 10 million details that can actually be revealed just by the phone number. In fact, on Signal, it's even worse. If you have a lot of contacts that know your phone number, simply by loading Signal on your phone, putting in your phone number on your phone, and you don't even establish any contacts, and ping, 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 everyone around that has your phone number in the contact list will be pinged. So if a three-letter agency has your phone number in the list to see if you're going to be on Signal, the moment you're going into Signal, the agency trying to go check you out will just see ping. Okay, we can send him a message now because he's on fucking Signal. So that's the kind of thing that I'm talking about, where you don't even consider the metadata, that you're actually generating data aside from what you consider to be the encrypted message. So cybersecurity doesn't concern itself with metadata. It has no bearing on that. That is of no issue to a cybersecurity person. That's why cybersecurity folks from some of these cults, they're so stupid, because they really have such a limited understanding of the world. In fact, what they should do, these cybersecurity people who claim they know everything, they should really work for a three-letter agency. Because a three-letter agency is going to understand what I'm talking about. These fools do not. In fact, the main reason they're in cybersecurity is they work for some corporation. And the corporation sets the agenda, and the corporation has completely different objectives than privacy. The only goal of a corporation is to prevent hackers from breaking into the corporate database. That's their goal. They don't need to hide the traffic. That is of no concern to them. But if two people want to talk and they don't want to have any outward sign of talking for third parties and three-letter agencies and all these other entities tracking conversations, then what the fuck? There's no way to do that if you don't watch the metadata. Let me give you a specific example here with Protonmail and Tutanota. Okay, this is a specific example where people just don't care about the metadata. And this is why I don't necessarily recommend that you use Tutanota or Protonmail. You can, if you want to do it. It's no worse than staying on Gmail with all of your activities. So I guess it's not worse than that, but actually it is worse. It is worse. And I'll explain this in a second here. See, the problem is a product like Protonmail and Tutanota are not just email. If you go to Braxmail, let's say you install Braxmail on your computer. Braxmail is not encrypted. It's just normal email. So you don't stand out as having some special nefarious kind of objective with your email. You stand out as just, some normal person wanting to have a email that's not being read by Google. But if you're going to use Protonmail or Tutanota, why the huzzak are you using Protonmail or Tutanota? Well, primarily because they're advertised as encrypted email. That's how they're advertised. Encrypted email. So they attract a certain population. They're going to attract people who want encrypted email. In other words, to a three-letter agency, they're saying, oh, okay, those who want to go to Protonmail and Tutanota, these are the people we need to put in our database because they have something to hide. Now, how hard is it for Protonmail people to be put into a database? Now, the thing about Protonmail and Tutanota, let's just stick to one of those. Let's say Protonmail, just to simplify the discussion. You're wanting to send email out. You're going to send email out to other people. People on Gmail, people on Yahoo, people on Outlook, people on iCloud. You're going to send email to the world. You're going to send it through the normal email SMTP. Your normal outgoing email. So you're sending it with a from on your email. It says from such and such at protonmail.com. Well, any three-letter agency, they actually do this because they have the peering stations at AT&T that actually listen to the traffic on email, and they can actually see the traffic and say, okay, the external servers at Protonmail are communicating with the servers at Gmail, and they're sending traffic from such and such at protonmail.com to such and such at gmail.com. And this can be intercepted and is intercepted. It has been intercepted for decades now, since email started, probably since the 80s. Okay, this is something that Snowden can easily tell you. There's already articles on The Guardian that, where they found out where these peering stations were. This is not a big mystery, and the reason you have to assume they can do this is because email is open. There's the email architecture is such that it is sending out plain text, and even your attachments are plain text. They're just converted to base64, which is plain text converted in numerical form. So it's still plain text. There's no encryption whatsoever in normal mail. So somebody can then say, oh, okay, let's capture all the people with Protonmail accounts and see who they're talking to, what the accounts are of the target devices, and let's draw a map, a relationship map that says, okay, these people are talking to these people. Now we have a kind of a big Venn diagram that says here are the intersections of people talking, and some of them are on Protonmail, and therefore these are the people that are more likely to be an issue because they got this program or this app to do encryption. Now here's the funny part. So you're using Protonmail and to do encryption, but since you can only encrypt between Protonmail to Protonmail, but 99% of your emails probably junk. 99% of your emails incoming from whoever source, because it's your published email. If you publish an email with protonmail.com, you're going to get email from everyone, which means it's just exposed traffic. It's just going to show your college talking to you, your employer, anyone sending you materials is just going to send it to your Protonmail account. It's going to be obvious and be tracked and be recorded. What does that? That is so much metadata. Besides, in the header, we'll show all the metadata of people sending and receiving from you. So what is the advantage of encrypting in Protonmail when really just a tiny, tiny fraction of your email will ever be encrypted, but you are spreading metadata like crazy? You're basically announcing yourself to the world and saying, hey, I'm for encryption. So I'm going to encrypt because I love Australia. Australia is anti-encryption, so I'm going to fight back. I'm going to encrypt. So and the Australian government says, "Oh, you're encrypting, huh? So okay, well we have a law now that encryption has to be broken." I don't know how they can do that because they're so stupid, but we'll see how that works out. The point is, it's a target. They can knock on your door if you're Australian and say, "Hey, you're going against the law here. You're using encrypted email, and we know who you are." Okay, it is so fucking obvious. Now let's talk about another one that's just another example of the lack of thinking of people in cybersecurity. They don't even understand the difference between cybersecurity and privacy when they use an app like WhatsApp. Okay, so WhatsApp. Now, WhatsApp says, okay, we copy the encryption. In fact, they got the guy from Signal to work at WhatsApp, and they copied the encryption from Signal, put it in WhatsApp. So WhatsApp will say now, oh, WhatsApp has end-to-end encryption. I mean, you really believe that? What you didn't know is that the end-to-end encryption is in a very limited segment of WhatsApp, and that's one-to-one conversations. If you join any kind of group in WhatsApp or Telegram, there is no encryption whatsoever when you do that. And then your identity, and this is the worst part, is leaking metadata because it's matching your IP address and your Facebook account and your IG account in the Facebook database, because they can match that. They can do browser fingerprinting. They can do any kind of match that will verify that you on WhatsApp are the same person on Facebook and this is your account on IG, because that's one company, one database. So, and we know that also because of locations, IP addresses, and all these little pieces of metadata that actually reveal who you are. So, if somebody's having a affair, let's say, I love to use that example because, you think you're hiding and you're going to say, okay, we're going to talk privately on WhatsApp because, it's very popular and it's encrypted. And I'm just saying to myself, wow, if Zuck wants to blackmail people, all he has to do is check for patterns, because they know the relationships of people on Facebook. Since you openly stated your relationships, they know who your friends are. They know who people are who are not your friends. And yet you're talking on WhatsApp. They know the hours of normal people talking. They know where everyone is because they can see, whoever's talking to whom. And they know husbands and wives talking because they can see the app and they can see where they are. And then you have side traffic, side channel traffic that's not related. And you don't think that's pretty obvious? I mean, anybody in the intelligence community would tell you, yeah, that's pretty obvious. Metadata. So I don't know. These people who challenge me should watch a few more spy movies. They really need to watch more spy movies because they don't really get this. And it's like common sense stuff. Metadata is so extremely important that, in fact, the intelligence agencies rely primarily on metadata. They don't even need to see what the conversation's about. I mean, they're happy to see conversations, transcripts and so on. But if they don't have it, all they have to do is say, oh, we have times, frequencies of communication, who's related to what, relationship maps, and then can actually infer a lot of purposes for communicating. They can infer from the jobs, from relationships, from gender, and so on. And they can infer that and say, interesting. And maybe we can use that for blackmail or whatever they feel like using it for. Maybe we'll put you in a Google Federated Learning of cohort. We'll put you in a flock cohort. So that's the kind of thing that's just amazing to me when people are just so caught up in nonsense of such a narrow thinking, like, let's encrypt this. Somebody was saying, oh, we don't want to use Session. By the way, I recommend Session. That's in the last video. Because Session is one of the few apps that actually eliminate the metadata. In fact, even the network traffic, not just the fact that it's encrypted, the message traffic is hidden because of it uses a onion routing scheme kind of similar to Tor. It's called LokiNet. Now, what is the advantage of this LokiNet? Well, you can't even say who's talking to whom. The traffic is bouncing around multiple servers. You don't even know where it's coming from. And locations are, obviously hidden, and IP addresses, where that's not the case with Signal. So if somebody, it's called an omniscient player, like a three-letter agency, they can watch internet traffic, and they can see where traffic is emanating from, and they can see bouncing messages from one location to another location, and both are using Signal, and they can actually even sense that traffic and say, traffic was sent and was received on this site, so they can actually see what the IP addresses were. It's called a timing attack. And only three-letter agencies can do this. This is not a threat for normal people, but it's fascinating how they can even do that. So the point is that if you have an encrypted platform without caring about the metadata, it is possible to reveal who's talking to whom. And this is not even counting the fact that the phone number was revealed to begin with. So, hold on here. What happened to because I had Rumble up on the screen, and now I don't know what happened to Rumble. Okay. I had Rumble on my screen here so I can watch the comments, and then I accidentally overrode it. Okay, so I see great gold here on Rumble. Anyway, the point is that saying that something is encrypted is not enough. It's the main point of privacy is to hide identities. It's not that just, in fact, you can talk on Brax.me. Brax.me is a social media site that I made for privacy. People can talk on Brax.me out in the open. You don't even have to, be in an encrypted session. It is encrypted, but you don't even have to. You can be out in the open. It's not even necessary. You can even have, you can have private discussions or open discussions in the open. And the thing is that nobody knows who you are because the app doesn't collect an identity. It doesn't have an IP address. Since I don't collect that, the servers don't have an IP address. There's no IP address in the database. So there's no way to actually match you specifically as a specific individual. So because of that, two people talking on Brax.me, it doesn't even have to be encrypted, like I said. They can be talking in a public chat. And there's no way to know who's talking to whom. And that's even more important than encrypting it. Because if I don't know who's talking, how the hell are you going to even say, let's go take that individual and track what they're saying? You don't even know who's whom. Do you see the problem here? If you don't know who's talking, it kind of cuts out a lot of the, potential attacks, because you're not even going to know who to search for. Okay, in fact, a lot of command and control systems for controlling hacking systems are actually occurring out in the open. I'm gonna guess this. This is my guess from being a cybersecurity guy. People question my skill level here, but zuck you. But I'm gonna tell you, if I'm running a command and control and I want to signal the command and control quietly without a direct connection, I can post it on zucking Twitter. I can make an innocuous account on Twitter, and then I'm going to pass perhaps random messages that a listening post, maybe a secret hidden malware on your device, is connecting to Twitter. So if somebody intercepts the traffic, they see, oh, it's just looking at Twitter. Pretty normal traffic. And then in that normal traffic, it can then actually receive commands because it's actually coded, and simple words actually are activating commands like turn on, download new software, that kind of thing. And that's actually how they use, software like Stuxnet, how that was used to attack the nuclear facilities in Iran. This kind of command and control, completely unobtrusive, because you do it in something that's an expected channel, like open unencrypted channel, because you don't expect anything from there. You're not going to expect anything nefarious when nothing is encrypted. That's an example of how you can be tricked, and that's an example of how you can trick back, because you're actually understanding the metadata. So the app session. The reason I've always like what I saw with session was they actually focus specifically on metadata. That's what they attack in their white paper since the very beginning, and the only issues at the time was related to execution, like are the apps usable, do they work on all platforms. At the time when I looked at it in 2 years ago, it did not work on all platforms. It was just a couple of platforms at the most, and now they work on every platform. And then yet people will raise questions. And one of the ones that I got raised about, and I don't really know the answer to this, is somebody is saying, well, Signal has perfect perfect forward secrecy. This means that it never reuses a key. The keys are always new. So if somebody breaks a key, then they can't use it to break a history of keys because the key is always new. Even BraxMe uses perfect forward secrecy, since we generate a new key with every post. So if you manage to break the 256 bit encryption, which is virtually impossible, but if you manage to do that, you've only broken the key to one message. You can't break the key to the other messages because you don't have the way to break down a key for every message. This is what slows down BraxMe, because I have to do that. So kind of the sacrifice that I had to make, make forward secrecy, but then it doesn't work so fast. So I don't know if Session has perfect forward secrecy. Some people are saying it doesn't, and they may be right. And but then I look back and I say, but it's the only app that doesn't have metadata. And that is so significant for me. It's the only app that I know of that has actually hardly any metadata. In fact, the fact that you can't even look at the IP address because it's going through a onion routing. I mean, I don't think any of the other products have that. I don't think Secure has that. I don't think Threema has that. I think Wire has that. I don't think they have any of that. None of them have this complete obliteration of metadata. I mean, that's pretty fascinating, guys. And that's exactly, to me, that's when I'm looking at a messenger app like Session, this is really what is so compatible with the way I think, with BraxMe, for example, because I'm not so concerned about the encryption as much as I'm about the metadata. If you don't have metadata, you're a winner. You're a winner. So let me just repeat this. Cybersecurity will say, hey, you got to encrypt that metadata. Encrypt that message with, 512-bit encryption, whatever encryption scheme they want to use, with the message. But then that's it. They stop there. And then the message is encrypted, but we know who's talking to whom. We have the timing. We have IP addresses even. We have phone numbers. We know everything. I don't even need to read the message. We know their location because, they're using a phone. We know their locations. Now, what if you have, a perhaps slightly imperfect encryption method? And I mean slightly, because only 3-letter agencies could theoretically cause this kind of attack, even if they can. We don't even know if they can do that. But let's say they could do it, a 3-letter agency. The thing is, there's no metadata, so you don't even know which message is which. How do you know which message to decrypt? If you don't know who the sender and receiver are, how do you do that? I mean, that alone is a project. You got to know who's talking to whom. You got to even find the message. How do you decrypt something if you don't know which message it is? Folks, that is such a big deal. That is such a big deal. And that is the understanding that is so lacking. It is so lacking in people who challenge me and call me names. Shows their lack of intelligence, and they promote certain things that for their own self-interest, and I don't support them, and they get mad because I don't mention their product. Okay, they're mad because I don't I talk about everything else, but there's some things I don't talk about. Some of you use it. And I don't talk about it because people on that community are so crazy, because this is the kind of craziness they talk about. Here's another example, kind of the last point, since I have, a few seconds left. One of this community actually went into BraxMe, attacking me and saying, well, does this Brax2 phone have a secure enclave? Now, secure enclave is a chip, the security chip, the whatever the current chip number is, A6, A9, I don't know I don't have an iPhone anymore. But whatever the security chip is on an iPhone and whatever the equivalent is on a newer Pixel 6 or Pixel 7, and it has the secure enclave. The secure enclave is where it stores the fingerprint of the phone. That's stores, like your fingerprint and your face ID and all that. And that, in theory, then is secure from outside forces, so they can't break into the phone because the information is not in the cloud, it's on the phone only. That's what a secure enclave is supposed to do. And they're saying, does your phone have that? And I say, you stupid Zucks. You're going to use a zucking iPhone. You're going to use a zucking iPhone. And you're going to say, this has a secure enclave. But your data is an iCloud seen by Apple. Zuck you. You're so stupid, I don't even know what to say. You're an Android, you have a Pixel 7 with the secure enclave, but your data is a zucking Google with a Google ID, and you're logged into Google on the phone, on your iPhone and your Android, and you're coming to me and saying, well, your Braxby doesn't have a secure enclave. It's like, suck you. You don't even understand the problem. What are you protecting against if the data is not in your phone? Anyway, guys, we will continue. We will interrupt briefly here for a sponsor break, and then we'll get into Q&A. I'm going to start reading your comments. Okay, so yeah, you can already see my sponsor is Linode. Linode is been a long time sponsor of this channel. If you don't know what Linode is, if you're looking for cloud resources, cloud servers, websites, running domains, having, doing anything you want to do on the internet on the server at the cloud side, running WordPress, running any number of Linux servers, and you need that kind of resource, many of you will go to Amazon AWS, GoDaddy, so many of these other companies, and you will find, if you actually use them like I have, that they're quite a bit more expensive, and they will hardly offer you any kind of support. In fact, on AWS, support has to be paid for, and you will likely not get much help. I have been on Linode. I have so many servers on Linode, I've lost count. And Linode has done a very good job at such a fraction of the cost of what I've been paying Amazon AWS. So if you go to Linode and sign up with that URL there, /Rob Braxman on linode.com, they're going to give you $100 as a credit that you can apply for a period of 2 months to whatever you get at Linode. And frankly, you won't even spend close to $100. That's a lot to spend, because some servers are as cheap as $5 a month complete. So it's actually quite reasonable, especially a shared server. So anyway, consider Linode. They've been a sponsor of mine for a couple of years now and continue to sponsor me throughout 2023. And, we have a good relationship because I am a user of Linode. I'm not just a sponsored channel. I'm actually a user. And I wouldn't even promote them if they weren't doing a good job, and they are. So anyway, now let's see what your comments are. I see there were also a lot of comments showing up on Rumble. Okay, so let's see. iPhone users are comical, says K2 the dams. Yeah, this is a very funny thing, this privacy group on Reddit will criticize me, and then they're going to push, well, actually, iPhones are very secure devices. Stupid sucks. Who cares if it's secure if they have the capability with AI to spy on you with client-side scanning? So they have the AI to actually look at your content and say, oh, you have nude pics. We know that. Oh, iPhones are secure. What does that have to do with security? It's a privacy problem. Idiots, truly. I mean, just this lack of intelligence. I get it. You know, they're cybersecurity people and they're employed by a corporation. Anything I say has nothing to do with a corporation. What does the corporation care about your privacy? Nothing. It has no impact on them. Okay? They don't care about your privacy. So, of course, yeah. Okay, so let's, those are some of the comments on Linode. Now, let me talk to you on YouTube. My goodness, I did not resize this. The text is so small. Let me just increase the size because I can't read what you're saying here. Okay, there we go. A little more readable. Okay, so Tim Cook knows where we all are. Obviously, if you have an iPhone. If you don't have an iPhone, no. Yeah, if your iPhone is off and it's not on a Faraday bag, yeah, it's emitting. It's an AirTag, so it's emitting data. If you go to the Apple Store and you look at all the phones there and you're going to steal one, good luck with that, because even when off, they're emitting data and they can actually go follow you. Now, they probably don't bother, but they can easily disable those phones and say, these were the stolen ones, so we may not try to catch you because you might shoot us, but we'll turn off the phone so you can't sucking sell it. Yep. That's how idiotic people are. They have no idea. Now, some of you are saying, well, if what you're saying is true, then how come they can't capture these criminals? Well, they have. On January 6th, with the Capitol thing, they actually did track everyone who had a phone and got their IMSI and their IMEI and obviously track their phone number, and there you go, because they can easily do that. And they don't even have to go to Apple and Google. They just turn on Stingray and records, and you're done. That's it. Now, obviously, they could do the same thing here in Los Angeles. When the riots were going on in Santa Monica, they could have done that, but they decided, we're not going to bother with that. We'll let them riot because, it's freedom. So, this very selective thing. Now, if you don't recall, the Idaho murderer, the multiple murder case in Idaho was in fact tracked with a phone, and was tracked initially with cell tower triangulation. They did say that. Of course, they haven't gone to Apple or Google, whatever his phone is, to do the more refined triangulation, because of course that's also available, but they have to subpoena that information. Okay, so yeah, they can be selective here, but they have the data. So they have the data, and that's part of the metadata that you need to be concerned about, because I don't even need to know a lot about you, but if I know where you're going every day, I'm going to learn about you. I will learn if you're rich or poor. I will learn what your job is. I will learn where you go to school, what church you go to, meaning what's your religious affiliation, just from watching your location. That's the kind of metadata we're talking about here. And people don't understand this. And they really have no understanding. They're concerned about the most stupid things, like secure enclave. It's like, who cares? I could have a very private phone without even putting a password on it. Yes, you can do that. You can have a very private phone without putting a password on it if it's a Google with no identity, and you don't put sucking pictures or things like that on there. So if it gets stolen, who cares? Nobody knows who owns it. Let me get another one. Okay? So that's a different philosophy. It's like somebody told me, this journalist went to another country to do whatever journalism work in there, and leaves his iPhone at home, and then gets a burner phone at the location, uses that for local stuff, the burner phone, and then comes home, throws it away, and then goes to the airport without a sucking iPhone. Okay, now you can still be tracked with the burner phone at the location. So it's not completely smart, but it's a beginning. The problem is if you're fighting a government, the burner phone can only be used once because it can track who you called. So just this is the kind of metadata that people don't understand here, but something that I'm so aware of, and these idiots just don't get it. Okay, so you have a phone, and it's a burner phone. You just got a burner phone, and you went to you went to a country, and you're going to contact the opposition. Okay, so this opposition group obviously is going to be a target of the government. So you're saying, I'm going to go there and get an article. I'm going to interview the opposition group, and we'll see what happens. So you buy a burner phone, and then you contact the opposition, and you say, okay, let's meet for an interview. And then you do that, and then, later on, a missile hits your hotel, and your recording and everything you've done for your article is gone. And this actually happened in Syria. This actually happened. This is not, I'm using an example here, but it's actually happened. So why is this so stupid? It's because of the metadata, people. This can kill you. Okay, metadata can kill you. How did it kill you? You have a burner phone, but you didn't know that the burner phone was used to call the opposition. Once you made one call, then okay, then we've established there's a phone here, and there's a target. The target is what we're watching, and this call was made to the target. Therefore, this new phone is a target now. So now that's easy. Then you put it through the SS7 network, and you track all the traffic from that phone, including its cell tower triangulation. You find out where it is. Done. The only way to use a burner phone without metadata, again, understanding the metadata concept here, the only way to use a phone without metadata is to throw away the phone after one use and use it at a location that you're not going to come back to. The kind of stuff I talk about, the average person doesn't think about this because you don't think about the metadata. You probably wonder where I get all this information, right? But this is an example of how shallow the thinking groups of these young kids who go attack me and say, this is Rob Braxman, he doesn't know anything. It's like, fuck, you're such idiots. You're the ones that don't know anything. Okay, just stay out of my lawn. You're such idiots. You don't even know what the problem is. So you're going to go to a country and say, I'm going to use my burner phone, and you're going to zucking die. You're going to zucking die. The only way to use a burner phone is once. Once. The best way to use a burner phone is to hand another burner phone to the other party, so now you have two burner phones. Best if you only use it once. The two burner phones once. You do not call a regular number that is going to be discovered. You use two burner phones. Okay? So, yeah, you really need to watch a lot more or read a lot more spy novels to understand some of this. Okay? This is an example, another example. It's another example. That's to show you the metadata issue. So, Bruce Schneier, a well-known cybersecurity guy, was talking about the location tracking. Obviously, it's, I don't know why he only mentions it now, but okay, so they're doing location tracking, and he's saying he's concerned about that location tracking on the phone. I mean, it's something I've been talking about for so long now. I'm getting blue in the face from talking about this. And one of the techniques, people, that people do is, we work for a 3-letter agency, and we want to meet with a whistleblower. Okay? Let's say they want to meet with Snowden. And we know where our phones are being tracked, and our phones, of course, are company phones, so they can track that. So we're going to turn the phones off. We're going to turn the phones off. Okay? Except This is the same kind of stupidity that, is just so common in the world when you don't actually think about that. Turning the phone off is a metadata. All they have to do is say, who turned the phone off in this time range? Those are our suspects. Specifically, let's look at all the operators or the operatives or, agents that turn off their phones. That's even easier. That's even a narrower side. That's another piece of metadata. So you don't even have to look at phones that were on and communicating. You can just say, were they turned off and when were they turned off? And then to use other means of tracking where they went after that. Right? Oh, it was left in the house. Interesting. Two parties left their phone in the house at the same time and they disappeared at the same time. And then they reappeared around the same time. That's metadata. That's metadata, folks. So, how many people actually can think to that level to understand this? That metadata is very, very dangerous, and actually the solutions that may seem so insignificant, like the Braxme app that has no metadata. I mean, it makes even Braxme stand out because of the fact that it focuses on no identity. Braxme doesn't require an email, doesn't require a phone number, doesn't require anything. You set up an account, you go in, and thank you for using my store in there. Obviously, if you use the store, I'm going to know who you are. That's, I got to ship product. But let's say that you went to the store and then you set up a brand new account. How am I going to connect the brand new account to the old account? Which many of you do. Many of you do that. The smarter ones do that. And then I can't connect the, not that you have to hide from me. I mean, we're not doing anything nefarious by selling you a Brax2 phone. There's nothing nefarious about a Brax2 phone. It's just a zucking phone. Okay? But if two people went to Braxme and talked, I don't know who's talking. How in the hell am I going to know who's talking? How am I going to know who they are? There's no IP address. There's no name, email. I mean, what do I have? Okay, timestamp. Oh, yeah, they talked at, Moscow time. So they must be in Moscow. Okay. That's certainly a metadata. That's pretty limiting. That's pretty limiting, though, because, I mean, that's not enough information to go isolate somebody. So, but that's the kind of problem that you're faced with that is solved when you actually eliminate the metadata. So anyway, my point is that I'm really very interested in platforms and apps that hide metadata, and XMPP is a very, very good example of that. Which is why I always recommend XMPP. Session app is very good with that. Even better than XMPP as far as hiding the metadata. I don't know about comparing the encryption. I don't know. I haven't really compared OMemo encryption in XMPP versus the encryption, the libsodium encryption in Session. I know the onion routing of LokiNet is actually based primarily on Tor, so that should be fairly similar code between Tor and LokiNet. So that part should be fairly consistent. And then the actual encryption of the message itself uses a library called libsodium, and which is a standard library that is external to Session. So third parties maintaining that. So yeah, metadata is very significant, which is not secure on Signal. Yeah, Signal is, has good encryption, but not enough. Encryption is not enough. Okay, my network saves my SIM card has been clone illegally. Can you do a video about this one day? My network says my SIM card has been cloned illegally. I did that, Majula client. That is called SIM jacking. I did a recent video on that. It's not, it's, check, within the last 2 months. It's a recent video, I think in November, December. It's called SIM jacking. That's a very common threat. Yeah, very, very common. So, yeah, so I already did a video on that, Majula client. So what you need to do is just change the SIM card. There are ways to do that. In fact, they can have a contact inside the carrier, illegally allow the cloning. They can move it to a different carrier. There's many tricks, and they're all discussed in that video. There's got to be some hardware solution to blur its signal out there. Yeah, Tor. Rob, it's installing an F-Droid repository from a third-party site like Session, for example, as safe as downloading the app from the F-Droid store. It's installing an F-Droid. Repositories are not taken from third parties. F-Droid is just an app. Repositories of F-Droid comes from F-Droid. So yeah, it's F-Droid is F-Droid. Yeah, F-Droid is safe. It doesn't matter where you got it. If it's a true F-Droid app, the repositories are from F-Droid. SIM jacking, was thinking of gym sacking. Gym sacking. Tor is for sure not secure. James A., why do you say that? I have a video about that. And Tor is quite secure against most things that you need to worry about. Mostly the way that they solve the problem of Tor is to do omniscient attacks by listening to the network before it gets to Tor, because once it gets to Tor, it's actually pretty secure. So no, Tor is quite secure. So that's not actually true. If you actually look at the Silk Road guy, the way he was spotted with this timing attack using a side channel. They didn't even go through Tor. They just went and looked for network transmissions in the known location because they knew who the target was. So all they had to do was get the emissions from the house of the person in question and then matched it to his post on the Silk Road site. So they just had two things they could time. Okay? Tor, but 1/3 of nodes are run by a single source, probably a nation state. Yes, they are. Tor, many of the Tor nodes are likely run by 3-letter agencies. That is correct. Which is not necessarily a problem. Lokinet is not likely to be invaded as Tor is. So Lokinet is another option, and because of the way that Lokinet servers are priced, it's pretty hard to take over Lokinet. So yeah, so anyway, I may make a video in a couple of weeks about Lokinet. We'll talk maybe about Tor and Lokinet and all of this, and how that helps you versus, let's say, a VPN. Maybe that's a subject matter for 2 weeks from now. I was thinking about doing that as a topic. Let's see. I didn't know the term. I wish. See, what else am I missing here? Okay, let me look at the comments here on Rumble. Trying to follow all around advice, but the more I look into the 3-letter agencies and the upcoming digital currency, it seems they are working against us faster than we can fight back. Oh yeah, the digital currency issue, I have a very big video on that. It was kind of suppressed. It's still a popular video, but it was suppressed. For sure was suppressed. It was one of the highest performing videos at the beginning, and then wham, it just stopped, and they never shared it again. And it's called, the video is called CDBC. So if you want to learn about that's a very deep discussion to some of the issues about how we're going to zuck ourselves with the digital currency. Okay, so CDBC video. Please watch that. Getting a lot of lag tonight. Okay, nothing obvious to me. We're not shutting down. I bought a new computer, a 12th gen Intel here for the server or the computer running the live stream. So I bought a mini PC, and so I have mini PCs running here, and it's pretty good. So they're certainly an alternative. They're not much cheaper than a laptop, but maybe giving me more flexibility to expand because I can change parts on it without having to buy a new one. So yeah, so this week we have a more consistent broadcast because of the new CPU. However, the network is not stable as usual. So I am getting some drop frames. Look, I can see the drop frames here is 0.3%. So that's probably causing a slowdown on some of these networks. Rob is keeping up with the 3-letter agencies, and that's very hard to keep up with 3-letter agencies. I'm not really, in a way, 3-letter agencies, I suppose I could be targeted by 3-letter agencies, but I'm, yeah, they don't like what I say. Yeah, that probably makes me a target for them because they don't like what I say. But I'm an American, and I have freedom of speech, and I don't believe in mass surveillance. I mean, let's be frank. I do not believe in mass surveillance. Okay, so if you think that's not a privacy threat, then you're zucked up. So Bill Gates loves mass surveillance. Peter Thiel loves mass surveillance. They actually think mass surveillance is good. Well, certainly Zuck believes in mass surveillance. Google is already mass surveilling you, so they don't have to say they believe it or not because they're already doing it. Okay. Musk is not into mass surveillance. So as a billionaire, I like Musk. Some of you don't like Musk. I don't know why. I mean, he's cool to me. He's a billionaire and he's not into mass surveillance. That's a big plus to me. He's a billionaire. He doesn't want 3-letter agencies on Twitter. Okay. That's good for me. I don't even care what the political side is. It's good. If somebody says to me, "Oh, I don't want 3-letter agencies, inside Twitter and YouTube and all these big tech sites," we're good. I'm a fan. Okay, so yeah, I don't have a problem with Elon. So far, he's not screwing me over that I can see. He's not zucking me up. Zuck is zucking me up. Elon so far has not. Maybe he will. Musk will eventually turn to the dark side. He could. That's the problem with being a billionaire. He could. Elon Musk is really good at selling snake oil. Yeah, you're right. He is. But I don't care. He doesn't like 3-letter agencies. We're good. Okay. He's selling snake oil. Okay. He does that. He will say, FSD beta, full self-driving is going to be released to the public, 2 years ago. Barely got released now. 2 years later. Okay, so yeah, he's a businessman. It's a businessman. So do I hold it against him? I mean, at least he's likable to me. I like him. He's likable. So some of you hate him. Okay, I don't really care about that part. You can hate him all you want, but he's not screwing us over with mass surveillance. He doesn't seem to be believing that, but he's putting neural net. Neural net can be a subject of mass surveillance, so I'm not sure yet. But, minus neural net, we may be okay. But once he puts neural net on, zuck. I don't know what that means. So I don't know what he's going to do with neural net. I don't know how he's going to stop external parties from infiltrating neural net. That is definitely one of the concerns. Were you affected by the flooding in California? No. No, I am not affected by that in any way. You can't flood me no matter what I do because I'm by the ocean. You have to flood the ocean. And I'm high up. So no, I'm not gonna get flooded. My boat, if you flood, the harbor where my boat is, the boat is gonna go higher and lower. That's not gonna flood either. Okay. Musk has $20,000 car for sale, and then he makes it go to 40. 40? He doesn't have any car for 40. The last I checked, the cheapest car was like in the 50s. Come on. What do you think a Tesla Y costs? 70, 77. 40, 20. Not even near that. So no, it's a very expensive car. And we're not even talking about his top line car, the Model S at 120 to 150. Zuck. Cosmic Rose says I only have 30 minutes left. Okay. Thank you for the reminder. No, he's all right guy. He knows the aliens built the pyramids. I don't know, Tom. I mean, Tom Cruise thinks, we have that he's descended from aliens. So I don't know. Aliens. So you tell me. Okay. So, there's some weirdos out there. Okay. Tom Cruise. Even my idol, Chick Corea, for goodness sakes. Chick Corea. Believe in that shit. My gosh. Did you see the BMW multicolor car concept at CES? Well, no, because I don't go to CES. So, James A. What the heck is that symbol? Looks like a volcano. James, that looks like a volcano to me. Aliens in a volcano, yeah. Tom Cruise, okay. I'm a big fan of Elon. I don't get all the hate he gets. Yeah, I'm okay with Elon. I mean, Neuralink is kind of zucky, but, Starlink is kind of zucky too. Starlink isn't as promised. I can hardly use Starlink. It's not, some people are like, telling me how the performance of Starlink is so good, and not for me. I'm in the middle of LA and it's very, very congested. The traffic is very congested. I'm not getting the numbers on Starlink. Can a phone be constructed at the hardware level so that it sends a different identification signal every time? No, phones have to be standardized because the baseband modem is standardized by the carrier. So no. Is the shock phone good? Hell no. I don't know what it is. I don't hate Elon. I just don't trust him. That's fine. You can do that. I have Starlink for a backup, but I can't use it for live stream because the upload speed is too low. And for live streaming, I don't really do so much downloading. I'm uploading, and so the upload speed has to be very good. And the Starlink upload speed is not good. E-Greens, I'm in all in. Question, can you fairly use FaceTime type app on Brax 2? And would you be able to use app FaceTime with it? Or, no. FaceTime is Apple. You cannot run FaceTime on a non-Apple device. Okay, so no, that's a no-go. The app to use for video is called Jitsi, Jit.c, and you can use that on any device. Okay, it's really simple to use, really easy to use. Jitsi. Okay, so yeah, can't stand the smell of musk. Eventually, the system will render all your countermeasures null and void. What then? Is Zaidman? Come on, you think I'm dumb? Obviously, we come up with more countermeasures. I mean, this is like a game, you know, it's like hackers and hacking and cybersecurity people, you know, we fight back and forth. They do this, you 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 fight back. It's always a way. You always find a way. So, yeah, you know, maybe we'll be talking with another kind of communication scheme. You know, that's why, you know, I'm very aware of things like radio frequencies and ham radio. I'm a ham radio operator. What is our time here? Oh, we still have time. Let me tell you, for example, this is a topic, you know, relating to 5G. So our impression was, and some people are commenting on my, you know, carrier video and say, you don't know anything. Yeah, right. Okay. So, yeah, you know, it's, they deliberately are confusing the issue because the original intent for 5G is not even in place. The original 5G, when they were communicating this and coming up with models and testing, was that 5G was supposed to be millimeter waves, meaning, you know, 12 gigahertz and up, you know, 12 to 20 gigahertz, 12 to 25 gigahertz. Very short range, high bandwidth, short range, so they need a lot more antennas and so on. And they were going to use beamforming to extend the range of these millimeter waves. And then they said, they were still researching that. They haven't even finalized that. And he said, we have 5G now. We have 5G. And now we're releasing 5G, and T-Mobile and AT&T are the first to release 5G. And then it's going to be so much faster. And then all of you on 5G are seeing it isn't much faster. So what the heck happened? The reason it's not really 5G. They faked you out. They're not using the millimeter waves, you know, 12 gigahertz to 25 gigahertz. That's experimental. The real frequencies they're using are pretty much just, you know, they look for open channels between open frequencies between 1.2 gigahertz to 6. You know, basically in between Wi-Fi and 2.4 gigahertz Wi-Fi. That, you know, and then what they do when they say 5G is they're just doing multiple channels. So if they have a typical channel for phones back in the old days was 1.8 gigahertz. This is a very common frequency for, you know, Verizon and so on. AT&T. So 1.8 gigahertz. If I'm not exact with that, you go, you know, it's okay. The point is it's around there. So 1.8 gigahertz. So that's what's the old channel. So now they repurposed the frequencies and they said, we're going to stop 3G. And so phones using 1.8 gigahertz to 3G can no longer go there because what they did is split it up and said, we're going to do multi-channel. So we're going to do multiple frequencies on that 1.8 range. I'm going to split it up into multiple bands. And the phones will do a multi-band communication. So your phones now, when it's a 5G phone, is actually talking with multiple transmitters, transmitting in multiple bands. So it will talk in several bands at once. Because it talks in, you know, band however the bands are split into wider bandwidth, the signal isn't any better, but there's 3 or 4 channels communicating at the same time. That's how, you know, your 5 gigahertz Wi-Fi works. it's just doing multiple channels. In fact, that's how fast Wi-Fi works. It's just multi-channel or multi-band transmission. Now, having said that, so that's really what's causing all this, let's change phones, because they kept the standard LTE channels, but they opened up new channels that are multi-band, and they have various combinations of this, and they give it various names. And one of the things that was surprising was I discovered that T-Mobile actually went lower. They went lower frequency. This is the opposite of 5G as intended. They actually bought the 600 megahertz UHF. Used to be for TV. They repurposed 600 megahertz. The T-Mobile was using 800 megahertz for phone traffic for 3G for a long time, and now that's LTE. But they are repurposing. They are now using 600 megahertz for supposedly 5G. It's not even 5G really. So what is the purpose of this lower frequency at 600 megahertz? Well, the lower the frequency, the longer the range, and it can cross walls. Standard ham radio stuff. So they actually opened up 600 megahertz, and it's called channel or band 71. Okay, so a 5G phone needs to support on T-Mobile band 71, because band 71 is owned by T-Mobile here in the US. I don't know if there's any use of band 71 in any other country, but of course that's going to affect 5G phones if the 5G phone supports band 71. I'm going to make sure that the 5G phone, the next model of Brex 3, the Brex 3 model, will support band 71. I'm going to make sure of that, because this is something I didn't know about. I just discovered this. So, my friends in the telecommunications industry, just told me that, and I didn't know. Fortunately, I have contacts, and we talk about some of this, and I was actually surprised that they went lower than 800 megahertz. Especially on a frequency range that is really approaching what ham radio does. The VHF that we do for ham radio, or the UHF, is typically, we are talking, the most popular channel for communications here in LA, for example, on ham radio is 440 megahertz. And they took over 600 megahertz. So that's now T-Mobile. So, yeah. What model phone is the Brex 2 again? Brex 2 is a Brex 2. There's not a model. It doesn't have any similarity. It's similar to a CoolPad Cool S, but it's really its own model. So, anyway, Brex 3 is very far away, so don't even worry about Brex 3. We have enough stock to cover us through most of the summer. So we're going to be in Brex 2 land, for the summer. We'll see where we are in the fall and see if we have Brex 3 by then, in which case then it'll probably be a 5G phone. Or, not really 5G, a phone that supports multi-band, which is what 5G is currently. So the beamforming and location tracking, all the danger stuff we were talking about with 5G is actually going to be called 6G. So that's not even here. That's going to be called 6G, or whatever they call it. Okay? Just so you know. So we are not in 5G land. None of the phones are actually doing what I expected 5G to do. So my video on 5G is not in place. But the video was made before they settled on the name 5G. The 5G was the name, the theoretical name, and they actually now call it 4.5G on my phone. When I go into my Brex 2, it calls it 4.5G because it really knows it's not real 5G. Do not use eSIM only phones. Do not do that, because there's no way to turn it off. So if you're in a protest and you said, I don't want to be tracked at a protest. You're one of the people who walked into the Capitol on your phone. It said, Zoc, they're going to track me with Stingray. I better remove my SIM card, which if you did would stop the tracking, right? In theory, unless it's an iPhone, then you're Zoc. But let's say you had an Android and you took away the SIM card and you turned the phone off. Okay, you're cool in theory. But if you have an eSIM, you're Zoc. That's why they want to move eSIM to everything. Okay? They love eSIM because, you know, how are you going to remove the SIM card? Well, you're not going to be able to remove the SIM card. So, yeah, that's the way to control the population. It's going to be the way to control the population. So, thank you, Truth Puppet. No evidence here of any lag on my end here. It's pretty solid here, so maybe local to you. So anyway, let me see if there are any other comments in here. Yeah, so no eSIM. Will it work to put the phone in a Faraday bag? Yeah, I mean, how are you going to implement that in real life? The moment you take it out of the Faraday bag, it starts to talk to HQ. So I don't know why you think a Faraday bag is going to solve the problem. In my case, my iPhone is in a Faraday bag, but it's too late. It already knows who I am. I've had the iPhone for a long time, and I don't use it anymore. So yes, it already knows who I am, where I am, and you know, I have a Apple developer account. They know where I am, and they can go hunt me down if they want. But they're not going to find any activity because the phone is off and it's in a Faraday bag, so they can't see what I'm doing. Yes, they know where I am. It's too late. Too late to hide on that one. Okay, so so this just imagine, you know, you go to a protest and you don't understand how your phone works, and oh, I know, you're one of those people, you know, that are on Reddit, those fools. Oh, I got a GOS phone. I'm so secure. I'm gonna walk into the well, they're not going to go in the Capitol because they're, you know, probably all ultra liberal anyway, so not likely. So they're going to go say, well, the solution is to have this kind of phone and we're going to be protected. Yeah, that's the kind of advice I would expect from that group. Which one do you prefer, Yaesu or ICOM? Well, I don't have any Yaesu. I have ICOM. So yeah. I like the new ICOMs, obviously. So the new ICOMs are cool. I don't know if there's any cool Yaesu lately. If there's no way to change the phone's identity every time, there's no true privacy, Brax. Wrong, Dan X, because a Google phone does not reveal that identity of the phone. And you can switch off, if you have a Google phone, you can switch off the SIM card. You don't even have to take it off. Just go to settings, switch off the SIM card that disconnects from the network. That's it. It has no identity because it doesn't allow any app to get the IMEI. Okay, you got to understand how the open source works. We know that an app cannot get the IMEI, not like with any standard Android. This is part of the design. This is why the Google phones like Brax 2 are invisible phones. They're invisible. JNA Core. Glad to have you here. If you want to have a phone that's the most protected, get a Brax 2. It's so easy. Go to settings, turn off the SIM. I have two SIMs. It's dual SIM, so you can use second SIM for 2FA. It's perfect for this. It just, and the fact that so your IMEI, by the way, you can give it any IMEI you want. I give you the tools. You can change IMEI every day. I don't care what you do. You can change the IMEI every day, unless you use an invalid IMEI and they'll disconnect you. But as long as the IMEI looks okay, it'll work. So people say, well, your phone has an identity. It's the IMEI. Well, you can change it. Only Brax 2 can do that. You're not going to get a pixel and be able to change the IMEI. Only a Brax 2 can do that. It's such an advanced technique. I don't know what to tell you. So you have a phone that doesn't have an identity. No app can read the identity, and you can change the identity, and then on top of that, you can just switch off the SIM cards, and it has dual SIM. You know, it's an awesome combination. So yeah, if you ask me what my personal complaint is with a Brax 2, I'll tell you, I prefer smaller phone. That's probably my my own, you know, bias. I prefer a smaller size phone, like a Pixel 5 size, because the Brax 2 phone is a little larger, like a XL size phone. So some people like that. I prefer smaller phone. It's just my deal. So not a deal killer. I got to pick one, whatever one is more popular. So despite all my BS, what is your BS? Maybe I've been missing the BS. Sorry about missing the BS. I could have been attacking you on the BS, and I didn't see that. I prefer a removable battery, but I understand that won't happen. Yeah, the problem is that we have to use commercial motherboards. We don't have the ability to dictate Android design, because they make Android in the billions. They make 2 billion Androids a year. We don't have enough pull. If we sell a few thousand phones, we do not have enough pull to say we want a unique design on the motherboard. So we have to use whatever motherboard is available to us. And they don't sell motherboards with detachable batteries. Okay? And they don't, you know, cameras built into the motherboard. There's many things built into the motherboard. In fact, it's pretty hard to even get a motherboard now with an earphone jack. We can't even do that. So if you're going to find one that's fairly new, you know, a fairly new CPU, then we're forced to use what we can use. So that's kind of the limitations we have. So we can't win on everything, but, you know, because it's a standard Android. It's the only way to make the Google phones. It has to be a standard Android. Okay? So, yeah. So we don't have that option. IC 7851. Oh, that's new. That's a new model, huh? 7851. I don't even remember that. Where is Brax 2 on site? Oh, you go to the store, Mitch. You go to BraxMe. You sign in. I told you there's no identity on BraxMe. All you need is a username, your password, and you're in. Then the store is on the menu. Give yourself a photo. Talk to us on any of the group chats. Okay? Problem with no earphone jack: if you want to listen to music with Bluetooth earbuds, Bluetooth is not secure. No, I use an adapter. I don't have one right here, but I use an adapter. It's pretty tiny. You just insert in the bottom of the USB slot, and it's so unobtrusive, I don't even notice it. So yeah, I use an adapter, and you can put power and earphone jack at the same time. The adapter is very cheap. Forget who makes it. Movo maybe. It's USB-C. Yeah, and they're cheap. You know, maybe $10, something like that. It's yeah. I thought it would be more obtrusive because the older designs were bigger, but the new chips are so tiny they fit very well, and it doesn't really cause any problem. You know, maybe we'll just give it away for free when we have the phone if we can't find earphone jack phones. So once I saw that you can do the miniature one, it really solved the issue for me, and then I didn't get concerned anymore about the earphone jack, and it worked fine. I could sleep with it, and it's good. Will Brax phone work in Australia? Oh gosh, so many. I ship to Australia almost every day. I ship to my biggest markets obviously is the USA, so I ship a lot of phones in the USA. The next biggest market for me is Canada, and after that it's UK, AU, and NZ. So all the English-speaking Five Eyes. So that's where I sell most of the phones, and then occasionally to some parts of Europe. So it's because it's English speaking countries. So I have a big market with English speaking countries, since they're the ones that watch my station. If you have Alexa, you probably full braxed. I don't know what that means. Have you been in contact with Urban Prepper since the interview? I was in contact with him when he was supposed to re-interview me, and then something happened to him, and so no. So we talked, I think, in the fall, and he was going to re-interview. Then or was it summer? I forget now. And then something happened, and he disappeared. So yeah, anything you know about that? So yeah. What do you think about that liquid energy ether cell new battery stuff? I don't know yet. That interests me, but I don't know anything about it. 5 minutes left. I can't figure out how to sync my Bluetooth speaker with the Brax. I don't know why you would have a problem with that. I don't have a problem in general, but maybe it's because maybe your device requires Bluetooth 5.0. The phone, I believe, is Bluetooth 4.2. So it may be an incompatible chip. So make sure that the phone is compatible with Bluetooth 4. I mean, not the phone. Make sure the speaker can support Bluetooth 4.2. If it's, maybe it's too strict, requires a higher level. Have you shipped to South Africa? Quite a bit, yeah. I've shipped several to South Africa. I do not want to ship to Germany. I do not want to ship to Cyprus. I'm not even sure I ever want to ship to Finland. Those are, I don't know how many phones I lost in Germany. So Germany is very risky to send anything to. They'll just steal it. They open the box and they return me the box with no phone. So, yeah. 4 minutes. Let's see. Thank you, Michael. Really nice viewer comments. Well, I'm sure I missed most of those viewer comments. They're saying that it's glitching here on Rumble, but it's not glitching on YouTube as far as I can see. So it must be a problem on the Rumble side. Yeah, there's no glitching on the YouTube end. That's really bad. Luck of the draw, I guess. Be getting an error 9939 code on my HP scanner when using Brax VPN. When using my scanner throws that up when trying to scan a computer to a printer scanner. Thanks in advance. Well, the VPN is a tunnel, so you may have to make sure if you're in VPN mode, you're probably not connected to your local devices. You may have to turn off the VPN and do that, because you're not going to be in the same network, because a VPN makes a separate tunnel unless you have one of those Brax routers, and then you can put them on the same subnet. Kind of technical here, but yeah, turn off the VPN if you want to use a local device. I notice my phone is unlocked. That does not mean I'm a dinosaur. I notice my phone is unlocked. That doesn't mean anything. Phone unlocked means you can change carriers. That's all that means. Smooth on YouTube. Okay, so sorry guys, in Rumble, it's very smooth on YouTube, so it's just luck of the draw today. Last time it was a problem on YouTube and Rumble was good, so I guess it's not consistent here. So I'm so sorry about that. Or maybe it's just for some of you. Not everyone is complaining on Rumble. Okay, we have 2 minutes. By the way, on Rumble, I have over 21,000 subscribers now. So, and I have 81,000 plus on Odysee. I have 9,800 subscribers on Twitter. and I have 391,000 here on YouTube. So we're talking, I have a follower base now over 500,000. So thank you very much for that support, and thank you when you support me with your purchase of our products, because of course we're not a big operation here. That supports the channel, and I appreciate it. I'm not I'm not a giant corporation here. We're a small company, and we survive from the products that you buy from us. And thank you. So thank you for your support. And there's a video coming out, of course, that will delve deeper into distinguishing the difference between cybersecurity and privacy, meaning an expansion of what I talked about here tonight. And that'll be on the next video. And maybe the next video after that, we'll talk about LokiNet, Tor, and all that. Maybe unless something happens. So thank you, my friends, and good night.